Hello everybody, happy Monday. We are back for some wine. Had a bit of fun with the connection a moment ago, so if you spot anything weird, if it starts... Ooh, sound's coming up. 1 second. Right, okay, got rid of the echo. So if you've got any, if I start going blurry or the video skips, let me know and then I'll have a play and see if I can fix that. But apart from that, welcome. Usual slot, Adventures with Wine. We didn't do last week, so it's going to be a little bit sporadic over the next few weeks, and that's because we are doing Nodes 2020 Extended. What's Nodes 2020 Extended, I hear you ask? Well, we had so many talks submitted, so many amazing talks, and we didn't have enough space in the schedule to fit them all in for the Nodes 2020 day. So what we've been doing is we're now scheduling a load of these talks to progressively, like an online meetup. So most of these are happening 2 talks a week. So I'll try and get the link up in the chat so you can have a look. In fact, let me do what you can do. I'm going to just pop something in the chat very quickly. So if you go to near4j.com/developer/online-meetup, you should, and I've just popped that in the chat, you will get, if you scroll to the bottom, you'll get a list of the meetups that we're running. So what I've done, so I've got to fill out some of the details on this, so I will do that later today. But we've got various guests coming in and they're going to be doing their talks. And what we're doing, we're running this like a panel session. So we're going to have a co-host. So we had our first Nodes Extended last week and we've got our next one tomorrow. So that's tomorrow at 2 p.m. UTC time. So I was joined last week and I'll be joined again tomorrow with co-host Nathan Smith. And what we do is we have the 2 talks, and we had 2 great talks by Chris and Tim last week. So they do their talks. And at the end, we have a panel conversation. So we have the 4 of us chatting. If you've been putting any questions in, you put your questions in and then we answer those. So that's great. So we'll talk about those. Right. I'm being told off by Henry S here on YouTube that we should be talking about wine, or should we be drinking? The drinking of the wine, I think, will come a little bit later, Henry. But certainly, let's start talking wine. But anyway, Nodes Extended. Keep an eye out for that. Have a look at the schedule. There's some really good stuff there. So, all right, let's get cracking. I've been told. Let's do this. So, what are we going to do today? So last time we met, so that was a couple of weeks ago, I thought it was a good idea to just take stock and have a look at what we did. So we basically revised and had a look at everything we've done up until today and the kinds of decisions we made and how we're going to change, why we changed the model, why did we choose something over something else and so forth. So we did all of that, and today I was having a think, well, what are we going to do? Because I want to have a bit of fun with GraphQL at some point and I want to start building something. So at the moment we've been theorising with a lot of stuff and we've been talking about how we clean the data and the kinds of fun queries you can run. But I want to build something a bit fun. So I'm going to have a think about what that might be. But we do still have a last bit of data that we have not yet imported. So for those of you, if you can remember, let me just quickly scoot over to here. You may or may not remember, so let me pull one of the older data models, is we had some things. So we had this idea of region, and it wasn't just region, it was region 1, region 2, there may have been a region 3, I can't quite remember. We had province and then a number of provinces, and we had country. And I think we had this big sort of conversation about, well, we don't quite understand what they are. Is it the case of a country has a province, has a region? Is it a country has a region, has a province? Is it the case that region and province have intersections and they kind of do the same thing? We don't know. And we kind of thought, you know what, let's just park that to one side and let's worry about what that looks like later. And I thought, you know what, let's stop putting it off. Today's the day. Let's start having a think about what we're going to do with that data. So let's try and figure out what it looks like. Let's figure out how we're going to change the data model to incorporate it, and let's load it in. That's the plan. And again, if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat. I will pick them up and we'll have a look at those. And you know what? Let's just do for a bit of fun. What's your favourite grape variety? we spent a lot of time on grape variety recently. Let's do a bit of fun. So in the chat, pop in what's your favourite grape variety. You can have more than one. I'll let you off. So what are your favourite, if you're getting a bottle of wine, what would be your grape of choice? And we can have a bit of fun. Maybe we can throw in a grape variety query at the end. Okay, so that's that. So what I want to do is let's remind ourselves of what that data looks like. So if I go to localhost, oh, I couldn't find any contact details, so I've waited for live session. I've run into descriptions for an AR text analysis to extract entities. Are you interested to... Hi Barry, thanks for the question. So what I suggest you do, could you drop me a personal message if you're on Twitter? So I'll put in my Twitter handle. So drop me a message on there and let's chat about that, because I'm very interested to have a look at what stuff you've done around this. So let me put this in and we can have a chat about that. That'd be really interesting, Bayray. Okay, right, so let's have a quick look at what our data model looks like at the moment. Yeah, sure. If you've got a link to a GitHub repo or something like that what you've described, please drop it in the chat and we can have a look at that. Thank you very much. Okay, so we have got, so we put in province at some point and we put in country, so let's have a look at that. So let's pull some data. So I'm just going to borrow a query because I'm all about reusing stuff. My memory's not so great, so if I figured it out one time I like to copy and paste it. Oops, wrong window. Right, let's have a look. So let's bring back some rows, so return row limit 5. Yes, a recommendation engine would be amazing. And we've kind of done a very basic one on grape variety. So let's build something a bit more substantial. So we've done some recommendation queries, but let's build like a recommendation app. And we can do some fun stuff where you can pick your reviewer and whatever else. So we can have a look at what's happening in the background with regards to queries. So no, absolutely, Tobias, that would be good fun. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to bring back a bunch of the provinces, the region. So we've got region 1, region 2, we've got province, and we've got country. So country is the easy one. We know that stuff connects into country. And this is when you discover that actually there's some regions that cross country boundaries. Let's not go into that. I'm sure it's not going to happen here. But okay, so you've got a situation where some of these have got, some have got region 1, some have not got region 1. Some province, I think some of these didn't have provinces as well. So let's do as a first thing, let's see what kind of stuff we bring back. So let's do a bit of data analysis or data viewing. We're kind of analysing the data. So let's do a little bit of that with Cypher and see what's going on. So let's return distinct row dot province to begin with and see what kind of stuff comes back. We can probably bring back country as well. Why not? Let's push the boat out. As P, country as C. Yeah, I tell you what I'm really looking forward to about the whole wine recommendation thing is it's one thing to do the grape, but can we do recommendations based on taste? So this is where I'm really keen to try and do something with the description words. So if you really like things that have, smell of peach and nectarines and whatever else, can we use that information to recommend wines and you discover like new wineries that you'd never have thought of because it's based on the taste? That'd be good fun. Okay, so ordered by P and C, and let's see what comes back. So it's probably going to take a little while because we have got some 140,000 rows, so we're kind of telling it to put everything into memory and then did a distinct and then the sorting. So there we go, it wasn't too bad. 13 seconds, I mean that's fine. I mean it had taken longer in Excel to do the sort, so we are forgiving if nothing else. So did I sort by province and then country? So maybe I should have sorted by country then province. Okay, let me just rerun this. So order by country then by province, and it'll be a little bit, actually no, it would just be long because I have to pull the stuff out, but It's all good. It's all fun. Not seeing much coming back about your favourite grape varieties, so, you know, be a bit fun. Right, okay, so we have got Armenia. Okay, so that's something we need to look out for. So I'm just going to take out a notepad so I can remember what we've looked at during this session so that I can write it up in the repo later. So let me just take a note of this. So we've got a situation where we have some provinces that equal the country. So we'll do a query in a second to see how prevalent that problem is. We have got, not just that, but we have something like Australian other. And we probably, that's not perhaps useful information to us, so we need to figure out, is South Australia or Western Australia, is this something we'd consider to be useful information? So that's something we need to ask and figure out. And what else have we got? We're going to have to figure out what these places are, so I might have a bit of fun with that as well. Vienna, okay, so we've got actual places. So what's interesting here about the provinces is, and again, this is where my geography is not so great. But for example, at Vienna, I know where Vienna is. Vienna is the capital city of Austria. So is it a case of we've got a mix of cities plus actual land areas, like we saw New South Wales, and that's obviously a big chunk of Australia, and that's not going to be the equivalent of Vienna. So we've got something around that. Mostar, that's a town in Bosnia. Oh, you know what we should do as well? Would be a bit of fun. We'll have to see, is there some way we can pull in some data from OpenStreetMap or something like that, so that we can pull the lat long stuff, so we can plot it out to a map? That'd be fun. Chris just asked, when did we start? We started about 10ish minutes ago, Chris, so you've not missed much. And if you want to catch us from the start, the video is going to be available on YouTube later, so you can catch up from the beginning, so it's all good. Okay, so we've got a bit of a mix of things going on here. So province is anything from country to region to an actual town, so that's fine. It'd be fun if we can map some of these and put in some location stuff, so maybe we can have a look at that. That might be a fun one if we can find some API to pull that in. Okay. So we've got that map thing. So what have we pulled? We've pulled back 426. So we've got 426 different provinces in here. And what would be interesting to know is, do we have a situation, well here we go, we've got an example here, where we've got this, so do we treat these as the same? I mean, I'd have to have a look to see where they are in Chile, if they're, if they're treated as the same region. I'm not spotting, I'm not being very scientific about this, but I'm just having a quick peek to see, do we have anything where the names are like maybe there's a spelling difference or something like that, and I've not spotted anything. Okay. I think I think we probably don't have too many of like the duplicates going on, so I think we're okay with that. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So let's have a quick look at how many of those are countries. So we've got, we're saying we've got a total of 426 different provinces. And just for entertainment value, let's see if it happens. It probably doesn't, but is there a situation where we've got provinces that have different... is there the same name province in two different countries, or more than one different country? So let's have a look, and we'll check that out. Thank you very much for those links, by the way, Barry. I will check those out and have a look at them later, so much appreciated. And I'll just grab a copy of that as well, so I don't forget. Okay, right, so let's have a quick peek first, how many countries and country and province where they're the same. So let's do that to begin with. So let's do see where. So we want to do Actually, what I can do is I just steal this return line and just add the where clause where P equals C, and then we can do return count P. Doesn't matter, it's going to be the same maybe? Yeah, let's do this. Let's see what happens. Oopsie daisy, what have I missed? Oh, yeah, I see. I just missed that number. Right, okay. Okay, it's going to take a little while because we're telling it to go through the entire data set. I'm very mean like that. Poor Cypher's going, what? You want me to download this file again? And go to rows. Yes, I do. Because I'm lazy. It's all good though. 27. Okay. So 27 out of our 426 have province equal to country. So, and that's rough. So bear in mind that's an exact match. So you remember we had like other Australia, then it's going to ignore that because they're not exactly the same strings. But there's things we can do to try and map those. I've covered similar stuff before when we looked at removing duplicates from the wine grape varieties and that kind of thing. So I'm not going to cover it today. So it's there. We have a system for that. Okay, so that's cool. So the other thing I wanted to have a look at, do we have a situation where we've got province and province we have the same name province with different country? So just trying to think what that would look like. If we probably do something like distinct with province. Just trying to think, how would we do this? Probably something like we want to collect we get province and then we collect the country. So I might just have a couple of attempts at this. So we're going to do something like let's do something like this. I think this will work, I hope. Maybe. Let's see what happens. It may work, it may not work, but we love a play with the query, it's all good. So we'll have a look at that, and let's have a look at region 1 and region 2, because that's going to be the more interesting one, because we've got two of those, and we've got province, and this is going to come back to the age-old question of which one's which, and I think this is where we're going to find all sorts of interesting crisscrossing and whatever else going on. So this may not necessarily be a solvable problem. We may just end up throwing the towel and go, you know what, we're just going to stick with winery, but let's see what happens. So whilst that's loading, let's get ourselves ready for the next query that we're going to run. So I'm just going to close some of these, or not, as the case may be. Oh, I've asked an evil query of it. You know what's going to happen? It's going to collect all the countries up. So I'm just going to kill that query because otherwise it's probably not going to happen. So let's do that. This is when I discover I've knocked my database over. It's all fine. Right, okay, so let's have a look at province. So let's just remind ourselves, oh, no, I don't want it in there, I want it here. So let's just remind ourselves of what it looked like. So let's do return row limit 3, just get the first 3 rows. So we've got this region 1, region 2. So let's bring some of those back and see what they look like. So let's start with return row dot region underscore 1 and R, and let's return the country again like we did last time. And same idea, we're going to order by country, then by region, and I just want to do the distinct, and let's see what's going on there. So let's have a look what that looks like, and then we'll do the same with region 2, because not all, so some of them had a region 1 and a region 2, some of them had no region, other things. So we'll have a quick peek as well what's going on with that too. Bit of excitement. Okay, what have we got? Oh my goodness. 1,273 different regions. Region 1s. And again, look, straight away, I've spotted, look, we've got Argentina. So we've got the situation where the country is repeated in the region. Okay, fine. I mean, we could be a bit more thorough. We're just doing quick eyeball here to see what's going on. So all of these. Okay, we've got some nulls, so that's fine. And the reason why it's coming back to us is because it's going to do unique matching of country to region, and so obviously some of these have got no regions, so that's why it's come back as that. So that's cool, that's not a problem. Nothing to worry about there. Favourite one, Shiraz and Mavrood. Mavrood I'm not sure I've had before. I do like a Shiraz though. Ooh, it's very nice. There we go, look, Adelaide. Okay, so we know that's Australia, and then we get an interesting one here as well. So what do we want to do with things like Adelaide Hills and Adelaide Plains? I mean, do we want to treat those as the same thing? Don't know. That's we're gonna have to make some decisions about that, aren't we? But okay, so that's what's going on. Again, same situation going on here. Do we want to class all of these as the same? And we might decide that actually, yeah, we do. And the really fun bit here is this one's really obvious, and we kind of go, yep, whatever contains Barossa. We want to link all of these together and say the same. I mean, like, we can use country as a mechanism to help us ratify that. But what happens if we've got the word valley appearing everywhere? Like, so that's going to be a bit of fun, but that's all right. I'm not going to worry about that one just yet. Okay, let's have a look at region 2. Okay, right, let's see what happens. Same idea. So remember we had 2 of those, and then what we can do is we can pull together and see how many of those we've got, region 1, region 2. So at the moment, it's looking quite exciting because we can see we had city and a region under province. We've got city and region coming under region 1. I'm guessing the feeling I'm going to have the same under 2. Ooh. Oh, okay, look at that. Okay, so it's not too bad. So we've got 61 records, but look, a lot of these are nulls. So this one's probably going to be a little bit an easy one for us to fix. So let me just quickly rewrite that query so we skip the rows. Where row dot region 2 is not equal to blank. So that's just going to get rid of all those nulls because we're not really worried about those. We can handle those when we're importing the data, so that's not an issue. Ooh, what have I done? Load. Okay, yep. With row. There we go. We missed the magic with keyword. Okay, let's see what comes back. Right, so 17 records. Okay, so not a huge amount to panic about with the region 2. So that's got quite a small footprint. So these are unique ones, by the way. It's not saying we've only got 17 wines, but the point here being is not too bad. And we can probably do something about other. Do we want to get rid of things that say other? Is that useful information to us? Don't know. So let's bring back province into this just to see what happens. And let's order region and then province, and let's see what we get back. Oh dear. Too many commas. Okay, oh look at this. Okay, so remember P's province. So Yeah, okay, so this is quite small, so it's still 17, so we've got a clean mapping between region and province. So maybe for the purposes of region 2, we've got an idea of how we're going to change the data model, and what we're going to do is we're going to attach, it's going to be province, so country, province, region 2. I get the feeling is what we want to do, because I think most of these, when I say New York here, I assume they're referring to New York State, not New York City, and then New York other, fine. Napa, obviously, very famous Napa Valley in California. Long Island, I assume now is referring to New York City, but again, Long Island is more granular than New York. And okay, that's cool. So let's take a note of that. So we can probably say that it's region 2, 2 province, 2 country. Okay, we've got winner there. So let's have a quick look at region, where there's region 1 as well. So let's have a quick peek at what that looks like. Again, we don't want to bring back, we'll have a look in a bit. So where row region 1 is not equal to blank, and let's same idea, row.region 1 as R2, and we leave the ordering as is. Okay, so let's have a quick peek at what this looks like. Oh my goodness, what have I done again? Oh, I keep doing that, don't I? Oh, let's get rid of this bit. Okay. Oops, and the R as well. Let's have a look. So I'll give that a few moments to run again. And let's bring up our good friend arrows whilst we wait. Oh no, here we go. Okay, so remember, so R is region 2, R is, confusingly, I should have named this something else, R2 is region 1, then we've got P is province, and then C is country. So what have we got going on here? So, oh, that's interesting. So, slightly confusingly, we've got more detail for a lot of these in region 1. So some of these match, fine. And yeah, so it looks like region 1's more granular than that. So let's just see where we had that Long Island, didn't we? So what happens with Long Island? Norfolk of Long Island, the Hamptons, Long Island. Okay, so it looks like in this scenario, where there is data for both region 1 and region 2, the ordering is region 1, region 2, province, country. Okay, that's fine, so let's take a note of that. We can incorporate that into our data model. And we'll have to figure out how we're going to do some cleanup of some of these where we don't always have region 1, region 2. So we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with that. So maybe we make the executive decision to just not bother with region 2 because it's not telling us, well, I say it's not telling us information. It is telling us very useful information, because look at this example here. So California is a big place. Napa Valley is a massive area for growing wine. So we probably want that level of detail. So let's figure out what we're going to do. Maybe we may try and collapse this down. So that's going to be an interesting hierarchy modelling question that we will need to answer at some point. But that's fine. So last but not least, let's have a look at... Actually no, I think that's good. We've got that. So let's bring up arrows. So one moment, let me just get that ready. I'm just cleaning arrows. I was modelling some chess stuff previously. Oh, we did the session ages ago. We looked at Fisher's numbers. So that's what I was modelling, and that was in the cache. Okay, so let's go back to what we've got. So So we had this thing and we weren't quite sure, but actually what we're saying is it's wine. So we probably want to put the winery to region, actually thinking about this. So would we say winery, region 1, region 2, region 3? So let's quickly do that for a bit of fun. So slightly tweak this again, so one more. So we're going to flip these around so we don't get confused. So let's do, because we've said it's region 1 and then we said it's region 2. So let's bring winery into the equation as well. So let's do row.winery as W. So ordering by country, by province, by region, and let's order by winery last. Is that the right way around? Yeah, let's do winery then region, because then we'll see if we've got a winery across different regions. Alright, let's do that. So this is going to be a bit slow, I do apologise, but that's fine. It's going to be about 15-20 seconds, I reckon. But it'll be worth it. Okay. Oh, 12 seconds. That was fast. Oh dear. Look what we got here. So we've got the same winery. And the same winery is sitting across different regions. Ah. So it looks like the same winery sits in the same region too. But region 1... no guarantees. So here we've got 10 knots. It's sitting in two different areas. That's okay. That's fine. Have you got more of those? So that's... There you go. You've got another one. Oh, because we're doing distinct as well, aren't we? So yes, this is true. So again, we've got some of these coming across, and it's the same winery. So we cannot... I don't think we can link winery. So we can link winery to country, perhaps, but we can't link winery to region. Maybe we can link it to province, but even then, do we know that happens? Okay, so let's just quickly have a look. So there you go, 2 plank. Look at this. Loads of different regions. Different regions, different it's different region 2. So yeah, so we can't make that assumption. So let's have a quick peek at winery to country, because I still think it's useful to be able to do some kind of link, or winery to province and winery to country. So let's see if those remain consistent. So I'm just going to take a copy of this query so that we can remember what we were looking at in the recap. And let's do winery, province and country. And let's order it by winery, province, country, so we can see if that's true. Oh, got a question coming in. Cool, thank you very much. I will check that out. Bayray, that looks good. Okay, so let's have a look. Well, this is promising. So we don't see any repeating. Oh, almost. Almost. Okay, so to country, it's not repeating. It's got different regions. I am kind of curious as well, is this a data issue? Look how we've got 60 north and 6 north. I wonder if that's a mistake. We're not going to worry about that. But okay, so we can see pretty much just quickly eyeballing. We could have written the query slightly different to look for this. The other thing as well to bear in mind is it could well be that you've got wineries with the same name, which wouldn't be a surprise, really. So, which might be the other thing we're looking at. So, let's have a look. How do we carve this? So let's do winery to country. Let's just see whether. Let's see what's going on here. And yeah, let's have a look at that. Then what we're going to do, so let's do this query, and then we're going to do a count of all the different wineries we've got. And if it's the same number as this, then we know, yeah, winery to country, and we're all good. Cool. You're very welcome, Jay. Thank you for joining us on this stream. So I appreciate we didn't have one last week for wine. We did have this week in Near4j article review. So I'm going to be doing one of those too whilst we've got nodes extended on. So there'll always be something, and we're either going to have something at 3 p.m. UTC on a Monday or 4 p.m. on UTC. And I usually put a tweet out to say which one I'm going to be covering. And then we should be, normal service should resume in the new year when we've got nodes extended done. So, but yes, thank you for joining. Okay, so right, we've got 5,002, so let's have a quick peek. We had 5,100. Okay, so it's not too crazy. So we haven't got that many wineries across different provinces. So let's just do a quick count of how many wineries we've got. And if it's small, then I'm kind of okay to put a bit of not being 100% accurate with what we importing with the data. Oh, distinct. So I missed. Oh, why have we got? That's a bit interesting. Why have we got so many wineries? Interesting. Let's do distinct. Let's see what comes back with if we run a distinct. Oh, how? You know what this is. Sorry, I made a bit of an assumption here. So my assumption here is that all wineries are linked to a country. And it could well be that we've got a lot of wineries that are not connected to a country, which is why we're having that. So if I do match winery has country, I think that's what we said in our data model, didn't we? Winery from province, province country. So what may happen is that we've got some wines that are not part of country. So let's have a quick peek at that. Let's see what's going on there. So from province, a province, and did we say province to country? From country, province country. To see country, and if I remember correctly, we've got no province and no country. So let's do where C dot name, I think we use name, or was it value? We'll have a look in a second. C dot name is not equal to no country. Let's see how many of those come back. Oh, okay. That's puny. That's like none. That's interesting. Huh. Well, that's me confused. I see what I've done. Look. So I've done it where region has got no name. So let me just get rid of this. This is probably going to be, and this is when we yeah, okay. I forgot to remove the flags we had on region, so that's probably why it's done that. So let's see if the number that comes back is similar to this number here, and then we can kind of go, yeah, we can just do winery straight to country. So we have got, oh dear. Right, I think what's happening here is, so we've returned 16,961 and we've got 16,745. So what are we looking at? We are looking at 216 different. So I'm going to make the assumption here that the reason why we have that 216 difference between unique wineries and wineries to country is because, wineries to countries is because some countries are just going to have the same name winery, and I don't think that's unrealistic. So there's only so many company names, so I don't think it's crazy to think that people may have picked the same name and they're in different countries. So let's use the assumption that it's winery to country, or that you can have the same winery and it's at different, it's pointing to different regions. I don't feel brave enough to make the assumption that a winery is only attached to a specific province or region. So I think we represent it here in the data model, don't we? So we say winery. Oh, we're saying winery to province to country. I don't. Let's quickly check to see if we can safely say that. I think we ran one that was a bit similar to this, didn't we? Let's have a look. Yes, this one, didn't we? Let's see how many of these come back, and then can we make a safe assumption about that? So we are returning. So what I'm doing here is I'm just checking to see how many wineries to province to country we have. So if we have a similar around nearly 17,000, then I'm just going to go, let's use the assumption that we can do winery to province to country. If it comes back with like 20,000, then we can't, then we're going to have to change that data model and not make that assumption. So last one of these before we start putting some data in, I promise. So what we've got to figure out, whilst that's running, what we've got to figure out now is, let me just put another node, let's anchor this so that we can work with our space and figure out where did it create my node? Is it here? Okay, so what I'm going to do is just, no, that's wrong. Oh yeah, this is right, I want to do this. Okay, cool. So what we've got here, let's do, that's a bit small. Okay, so what we have got winery. We have got region 1. We have got region 2. We have got province. And we have got country. And so where have we got? So what we're trying to figure out is where do these different things sit? So how do we connect all of these together? So I think we can safely say there is zero argument that province belongs to country. And this is the highest, the lowest level of granularity is country. Then the next lowest level of granularity is province. So I think we are not going to argue about this one at all. I think we're all in violent agreement about this one. Cool, so let's do, I think we call this province country, didn't we? Okay, cool. So that's tick, happy. We're happy with that model there. That's fine. Now let's see what has returned. Okay. Oh no, no! It's brought back the 19,000 records, and I think that's kind of saying. Oh, it's kind of saying one of two things. So when we did thingy to country, we're only 200 record shorts. Now that's like. Just over 1%, 1.2, 1.3% difference between the wineries that we have and then the wineries that link to a country. So I'm just going to go, yeah, just assume winery to country, that's fine. The annoying thing here is that 20% of our records, so we've increased the count by 20%. Is that fair? No, about 17-18% it's increased when we've done winery to province to country. So that means that a winery can belong to more than one province. So I assume if you've got some of these really large wine producers, they probably go across more than one. So the only thing to bear in mind with this as well, although here we go, look, this is fighting the question straight away. Yeah, so that's basically challenging that straight away. So these are in different places, and here you go, you've got another one here, this 1814 winery, 2 different provinces. So we can't use that assumption. So what we're going to do, so at the moment we're saying winery to province to country, we're going to have to cancel that assumption, so we're going to have to change this data model, and what we're going to say here is winery to country. So let's do from country. From country. Okay, cool. So that's a bit. And so the last bit we've got is this awkward bit. Because we're now going to have a winery. And we don't have that many. Actually, how many regions do we actually have? Let's quickly check that. That's something we didn't have a look at. So let's do return where row dot region 1 is not equal to null. Yes, no, absolutely, Barry. It has 17 unique values. So what I'm keen to look at now is how many wines. Oops, you're right. Region 2. How many wines have got region 2 on them? So we know we've got 17 unique values, but how often do those values come up? So that's what I'm going to have a quick peek at now. So let's do return count row. Why not? It's as good as anything else. So how many times do those 17 unique values repeat is what we're after. And survey says, oh my goodness. Okay. So whilst we only have 17 unique values for region 2, it turns out that they repeat quite a few times. So 46,769 of our wines have got a region 2 label. Wow. Okay. So that repeats quite a lot. So we do need to include that. So let's repeat the same exercise with region 1. And we'll do the same for province as well. And I shall take a copy of the query too so I can remember what we did. Okay, that's nearly all of the wines. So we've got about 120,000 wines. So nearly all of the wines have got a region 1. About just over a third of the wines have got a region 2. And let's see how many have got provinces. This is making it fun for us, isn't it? I tell you. Right, let's do province. Oh man, field day this, field day. Yeah, look at that. So pretty much for province, so that's at least good. So we know that pretty much every single wine has got province. So that makes our data model a bit easier. So this is the fun bit now that we now have to figure out. So nice bit of group participation here. So here's our dilemma. We've got winery. We've also got wine. So let's not forget about wine. I mean, this is what this whole exercise is all about, isn't it? Got wine. And we know wines come from winery, so that's easy. So I don't think anyone's going to dispute this. And I think that's what we've got in our model as well, haven't we? Wine has wine from winery. So again, that's fine. So our fun bit is, what are we going to do? So I think we've discovered that we have this flow, don't we? So country's the least granular, then it goes to province, then it goes to region 2, and then it finally finishes at region. Now, we've got some interesting things to figure out here, because not everything has got a region or a province. So region, that's just true. So what we've done in the past when we've loaded data is we've done like no region, or done no province or no province, country, no country, that kind of thing. So we fill something out, so at least we capture that it doesn't have that. But we're going to end up with like gaps, aren't we? Oh, questions come in. Jay's asked, what software am I using for drawing these graphs? I am using arrows. So let me pop a link into the chat. And it's super, super useful for just drawing things up like I'm doing now. And we've got a bunch of videos. So if you look at the Near4j YouTube channel, so that's youtube.com/Near4j, we've got various guides and things to get you started with arrows. So it's a super useful tool for sketching out these ideas and thinking about what's going on. So this is quite interesting because we have this problem where we've got this thing where we've got like, what do we say? So we said here we've got something like, oh my goodness, 100,000. So we've got something like 100,000 records for this. And we've got like 40 something thousand records for this. And we've got nearly 120,000 records for this. But some of these are nulls, but we want to build a chain. So this is going to be an interesting one about how do we model this. So this is why, if I come back to here, why we kind of did this previously. And we have location data description. Yes, no, this is true, Bayri. So Bayri said that we can have location data from the description and perhaps use that. So definitely worth having a look at. So what I would suggest for that is we probably need to clean up the region data. So this is probably a nice activity. We're not going to do it today, but this is something we can look at. So we can use the same principles we used when we were cleaning up the grape variety data and the description data. And what we did was we tokenized the words, and then we did similarity checking and phonics and that kind of thing. And the reason why we're doing all of these steps is to try and build up some reference data. So reference data is a type of data that doesn't tend to change very often. So, for example, if you think about country codes, those don't tend to change very often, and it's a finite list. And so what we can do is we can try and create some reference data of like location keywords. And then what we can do is using that, we can then compare against the description and try and pull out. So we can try and figure out these descriptions and then reuse that data to then sort of map the blanks. So I think that would be a fun exercise to try. So let me take a note of that. So I've captured it. So this is something we can explore in a next episode, because that kind of stuff's really fun, just being able to fill out the blanks. And I'm going to plug my Nodes 2020 talk as well. So I did do a talk for Nodes 2020, and it was called, I had to do something with the wine data set. We've been having so much fun with it, but it's called, oh my goodness, I think it's like fill in the wine blanks. That's what I called it. I called it fill in the wine blanks. And basically, and I think we can use the same process that's being suggested here, that we use for finding the wine blends. Filling the blanks for the wine blends. So we can use that similar process here as well, I reckon. So I think that'd be fun. So let's try that. So let's take a note of that. So we figure out. But just entertain. So I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit off piece now. But let's quickly have a look at the wines with a description that have no country, and see if it's actually in the description. Because I like that. That's a really nice idea. Oh, what's going on here? Just trying to clear some frames. Might have to restart the browser again. I forgot. Can you have dynamic values tied to relationships that change based on object value? Just like what you would do when you change data in Excel row. Oh, that's an interesting question. So if I understand you correctly, Mason, are you saying that if you change something... Oh, hang on, let me think this through. So... Oh, so you want to dynamically recalculate a bunch of things. So, I mean, theoretically, you could set up some triggers. So maybe you've got some properties, and then what you can do is you can have some triggers. So if you look in APOC, so sort of Google Neo4j APOC triggers. So yeah, I've got triggers, so you can probably set some rules for something to happen in the database when certain conditions are met. So I suggest you have a look at those. That may be what you are looking for. Okay, so we were going to have a look at... Oh yes, wines that have no country, but we want to look at description to see if the country is in the description. I love that. I really, really love that idea, Bayri. Let's have a look at that. So we have got wine to description, and then we're doing wine, winery, province, that. Okay, cool. Let's do that. So let's do match description, and then it's going to be as description, wine, and then winery from winery, wine from winery. Oh, I'm really excited to see what comes back, I have to say. Oh, I'm really keen to see what happens. From province. Province. Oh, no, not price. Province. And then province to country. No, province, country, please. That's the one we want. I'm going to say where c.name is equal to no country. So that's what we set. For those of you who are watching for every episode of this epic battle, what we did was we decided we wanted to capture the wines that didn't have a country name, but we just put it in a node called no country, so at least we can capture the information. And then let's have a look at the description. Oh no, d.value I think description is. And let's bring back province as well. I think it's province name. I could be wrong, but let's see what happens. Oh, that was quick. Ah, right, let's have a look. So we have got 464 records where we do not have a country name. And do any of these have a country mentioned in them? Nope. Oh, look at that. Look. Uruguay. There we go. We found one. So we can definitely do this. So we can do the... let's do the quick trick for the ones... We can at least do this for country. So... Switzerland. Right, so let's do the quick trick. Because we've got country data already. And it's 464 records. So we've got 464 records that have no country as a country. So let's see how many countries we can identify. Oh, this is exciting. Right. Let's do... this. Okay, so let's do this. Work down to country and d.value contains c country dot name. So let me just quickly tell you what's going in there. Yes, I know. And Switzerland's in there as well, and Uruguay. So let me explain what's happening here. So I'm using the same principle I used to try and figure out what the grape varieties were in red blend. This is really cool. Nice little trick. So the first part of my query, I'm treating my list of countries. I'm just looking at the country nodes. I don't care what they're connected to. I'm treating that as my reference data. And what I'm basically saying with my reference data, and I quickly gave things up. So reference data is a type of master data, and what we do with reference data. So reference data is the kind of thing you have in the drop-down list. So think about country codes is an example of reference data. Salutation, so Miss, Mr, Doctor, Sir, is reference data. It's a type of data that changes very infrequently. So it's super slow at updating. You have a finite list of them. So it's not like you're continuously adding to the list. It doesn't happen. It's a finite list. You probably see them in a drop-down menu, that kind of thing. So here, country is our reference data in our wine data set. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying, bring me back all of the nodes, all of my country nodes. So I'm just removing the one that's no country. I mean, probably didn't need to do that, but that doesn't matter. So bring me back all of the country nodes. And then that's that. So I'm now putting that into memory. So I'm going to keep putting that to one side. Then what I'm saying is, okay, so now match me all of the wines that are from a country where the name of the country is no country. So we don't know what country it's from. It was not in the original data set that we imported. And then what I'm saying as well is I also want to bring back the description for that wine. So this is what's been used. And then what I'm going to do here is say, now look in the description and bring back all of the wines, all of the descriptions where the description contains one of the country names we brought back in the previous part of the query. You know, when we pulled back the list of country notes. That's what we're doing. And then we're going to return the description, and we don't need to return the province name. And let's return the country name, so we can see what country we've mapped. So this is going to be fun. So let's see what we've got. Contains count. No, it's fine. No, if what I'm doing here is I'm saying, oh, county. Well spotted. Well spotted. Yes, it should be country, not county. Nice spot there in Denver. Okay, so what I'm going to do. So this is going to be fun. Now, bearing in mind, let's see how many countries we discover. So we've got 464 records where we haven't identified. No, there was no country specified when we loaded the data. How many countries are we going to identify? 32. Look at that. Right, let's have a quick look at what we found. So there we go. Look, we've got Uruguay, Switzerland, South Africa, Chile. Oh, look at that. That's nice. There we go. Look, so again, we've used existing data to help us figure out what the countries were. That's brilliant. We did this for all of the red blends we had. We've now done it for all the no countries. Cool little trick that, isn't it? So there we go. Look at that. That is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So let's flip that and let's have a look what we've got for the ones that don't have a country. So let's do where country. Oh no, we want that. So let's do the opposite. So let's say where it doesn't contain country names. So and not devalue contains country. Oh no, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. And the reason why it's not going to work is because there'll be other country names it doesn't contain. So that's going to bring back everything again. Actually, let's do this. So I'm going to end up doing a bit of repetition here, so I do apologise because I can't think off the top of my head. I can't think of a quick way to do this. So let's keep a copy of the wines, and I'm just going to rerun this query again. I'm just going to say where it's not that. Oh, wine 2, where W is not equal to 2. Okay, let's do that, and let's do return d dot value. Okay, what could possibly go wrong? Oh, that's very kind of you, Pankei. That's very nice of you to say. I hope you did find the video of modelling useful. Oh, I feel honoured. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. So this is going to be a bit of a slow query, but that's okay. Let's have a look what happens. Worst case scenario, there's going to be a nicer way to write that query. I'm just sort of going off the bat here. But the important thing is we discovered 32 country names for 32 wines that we did not have country data for. So that's pretty cool. That's going well. So whilst that's thinking about it, let's have a look at what we had. So we had. Oh, look at this. So this is where we're going to have a bit of fun, right? Because we've got stuff like this. Swiss. Well, we know that's Switzerland, but we don't have Swiss as a country. So whilst we can infer it by looking at the data, this is where we have to start thinking about what else can we do to deal with those. Okay, that's one. So let's have a quick peek what we've got. So not all of these have got countries. Melnik. I'm going to have to look up what that grape is a bit later. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not going to lie. I've just spotted a wine that tastes of lemon curd. I love lemon curd, so I feel like I have to go and discover that wine. Okay, so it's interesting. So we have a winemaker here as well. So is it the case we have an option? Maybe we need to be looking at all of the data we have and keep crisscrossing it back. So I'm going to take a copy of this and let's see if that appears in our wineries or any of the information that we have. So I'm just going to take a quick note of that so we can have a quick peek. Yeah, I know, it is a really cool trick. I love that trick. It's so cool. It's like, it's so powerful, and you're not loading in any new data. You're using the existing data you already have. This is data you already imported and used. You're just using it in a really clever way. I love it. It's such a cool thing. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like the GitHub stuff. I appreciate that. Thank you. There's another one here as well. Look, Greek. What do we do about Greek? So yeah, so this is where we're starting to hit the buffers a little bit, and we probably need to like import new data to have things like Swiss and Greek and British maybe and that kind of thing. So another winemaker. So I'm going to grab that name as well. Let's have a quick... No, I broke it. That's alright. Just reload it. It's all fine. Right, okay. So let's do that. I'm going to bring back the previous... Ooh. Let's have a look. Do we have any wineries that have that name that I copied? So let's have a look. So let's do match W winery. I you know what, we were supposed to be loading data about regions and we've completely gone off piste here, haven't we? That's alright, we're going to come back in a second to figuring out those regions, but I just need to now find out if you've got Yanis Voyatz's as a winery in there, because that might be another thing we can apply and try and figure out if we can fix some of the blanks that we have. So let's do winery, where dot, I think we called it a winery name. If it comes back as a blank, we'll figure it out. Yeah, no, exactly that, Byre. So if you have a look at what I did with the... Let me just quickly nip over and show you. So I can't remember, was it week 6, week 7? We did a bit of work on that. So let me... I think it was week 6 and week 7, I think, if I remember correctly. Is we did all of that good stuff. So we fixed the years and cleaned the years out a little bit. And then the other thing we did as well was... week 6, yeah. So what you'll see here is we did a lot of stuff, so there we go. So we used, we looked at Levenstein, Sorensen, we had a quick look as well. Yeah, but what's really nice is, it's the same trick we can keep using. So we can have a look as well what we can do for the other bits of the description. So we keep coming back to description. The description is a goldmine of useful things for us to recycle. So definitely we need to come back to that and have a look. So let's do where the name contains this, or w.name contains this. Are we going to get anything back? I mean, we probably won't, but it was a fun experiment nevertheless. Survey set. No! Look! Oh! We brought back So, is this where we come back to the description? So let's have a look what we got. Salt colour is, description is pink. Right, so let's have a look what we've got. Oh, we've only got one description. Oh no, we've got 2 descriptions, right. So this is where we should have checked to see where we got the description from. No, that one hasn't got it in there. Isn't there a like operator? Oh, I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I can't answer straight away. So let me have a look. So I know we've got contains. We've got begins with, ends with. You can do wildcard matches. Certainly if you use APOC, you can help you with the wildcard matches. So you've got a number of tools. But the really exciting thing here is I think we've discovered by complete accident probably something that had the value of no winery. And by complete fluke, by pure inspiration by Barry, that maybe we've just discovered how we're going to fix the no winery one. So let's quickly pull back that wine that had that description, because this is rather exciting. So let's bring that back. So let's do match D description. We're going to bring back the wine as well. And let's bring back the winery too. I'm being really lazy with my query with not specifying a relationship type, so please forgive me. Let's do where d.value contains, let's pull that name again, and then I promise we're going back to the location dilemma. But this is fun. We've got to figure out what happens here. I mean, this is cool. Return d dot description. Oh no, d dot value. And let's return win dot name. I think we called it. Let's see what happens. Oh no. Okay. So this brings back a whole series of questions. So this is a different person, but the winery name's different, so I'm now confused. Okay, that was an interesting jaunt. But I guess the question here is this a data issue, and perhaps that these should be the same winery? So I assume these are. Let's have a look what country. What have we got here? So wine, variety, or where's the country node? Oh, we didn't bring back country, did we? Did we bring back? We did bring back province. So we got different provinces, and we know that province brings country. So let's just double. Hey, that was not what I was expecting to do. There you go, Greece. So I assume these are all going to come back to Greece, aren't they? Yeah. Oh no. Okay, that was. Oh, is this a no? Hang on, let me make this a bit bigger, because I'm sure you would like to see this as clearly as I would like to see this. So that's interesting. So I appreciate we've diverged a little bit off the path here. So we have got Greece. We just expanded this region here. Where is that? I'm gonna just. I'm intrigued now. Let's have a quick look. Ooh. Oh, that's the variety now. We're not interested in variety. We're interested in region. Oh, that's confusing. Bear with me. So that's the the province. Province, country. So these presumably, if these are all wines, they should all come to there. We expanded this wine. This expanded, so we expanded the winery, which brought back. Okay, so they're all that's from that. So I assume that all of these wineries are from the same. Oh no, we need to change that, don't we? Right, you know what? I'm going down a rabbit hole. Let's park this. I think we need to go back to the mission at hand, which was to solve this dilemma. But that was a really fun diversion there. I thought that was really, really interesting about how we can fix some of those countries. So that'd be cool. So let's look at that. Okay, right. When any node has a lot of fields, it becomes very inconvenient to look at them from the bottom. Is there any plugin to properties get displayed in the sidebar? Ooh. So what you can do, I'm not going to do it now because I'm streaming off of browser and I don't have a certain plugin installed, but have a look at Bloom. So what you can do with Bloom is if you double click on a nodes, it will produce like a sidebar, and in the sidebar it gives you all of the properties for that node. So that's super cool for that. So we're probably due a Bloom special looking at the wine data. So you know what, let's do that. So I'm not around next week, so we don't have a wine session next week, but the week after, if you're all up for it, let's do a Bloom view of the wine data, because we've got lots of interesting data now, so maybe we can have a bit of fun with that. So if that sounds of interest, then we can have a look at how we can easily look at all the nodes and things, and maybe we can start colouring stuff and that kind of thing. Okay, right. How do we solve this problem? So we've got a couple of options. We've got the hacky option, which is kind of what I did. Let's go back to the date model. We've got the hacky option, which is kind of what I did originally, where we've got this, and I don't really want to do this because I think we lose a bit of fidelity in the data. So I'm not crazy about doing that. But what I'm thinking, so if you recall, when we were loading the data, if there was no province, we just loaded a thing called no province. If there was no country, we just called it no country. Subsequently, we can now identify 32 wines that don't have a country with a country, and then we just got to figure out how we're going to deal with like Swiss and Greek and that kind of thing. Now we have. Oh, I just thought of something. No, I'm going to hold that thought. I'm going to behave myself. We'll do it at the end. Yeah, we'll do Bloom. We'll do Bloom. So let's say 23rd of November. Let's play with Bloom. Wine and Bloom. Let's do it. It's a date. People who are watching this recording will be wondering what's going on. But yeah, let's do it. Let's Bloom, 2 weeks time, Bloom and wine. Fantastic combination. So we did no province, we did no country, we did no region. So the only thing I think we've not imported, we've not imported region just because we didn't know what to do with region. Let me just double check this is a true statement. Let's do calldb.schema because I've got a very short memory span. Yeah, so we did not. So we never brought in region because we were just like, don't know what to do with region. But I think we're going to do a flow. So I think we just have no region 1, no region 2, and then what I suggest we do afterwards is we can then figure out if we can collapse region 1 and region 2 down. And maybe we remodel it. So I think let's put that story in to begin with so that we keep the fidelity of the data. And then what we can do afterwards is we can remove things like Australia, other, because maybe that's not really helpful to us. We don't, other what of Australia, we don't know, or other England, because that's not helpful. So we can get rid of all of that stuff and clean that up. And then we can figure out if we, based on all the cleaning up that we do and what we've got, can we then refactor the data. So let's do that. So I've got a question here. So I wonder, what is the thought reason we split our data mostly in nodes and not store data as properties in nodes? Right, that is a fantastic question. And this is very much dependent on what kinds of questions we are looking to answer. So the kind of the rule of thumb is if you're going to keep asking lots of questions about region, for example. So if we're going to ask loads of questions like, what's the most popular region for a wine from a certain year? What's the most popular region for Shiraz? What's the most popular region for tasters? So which does a taster continuously do the same region? Then it makes sense to pull it out and just create it as a node because we're asking loads of questions about it. And what you don't want to do is if you're asking loads of questions about something, you don't want to be having to be sort of hunting around in the properties, especially if it's something that's quite common. So something like country is quite common. And obviously I'm not going to go into the sort of conversation about dense nodes, so we'll park that for a different day. And actually, we kind of covered something about it sort of a few weeks ago when we were importing the ratings and price for wine. But you kind of do that. So you end up rarefying your data model. So rarefying is where we're pulling out these properties. And we do that because we were asking loads of questions about those. So let me give you an example of what we did. So I don't know if we have it for... Do we have one for winery? So what we had, and we got a great example of where we did this. So let me scroll down to some of the data that we have imported. So I know, bear with me, I know this diagram's a little bit small. So up until very recently, although we didn't import the data, we had, you see here we've got the wine node, and on the wine node we had like the ID, title of the wine, description, and the price. And we very quickly went, well actually, we keep doing stuff with the description, so it probably makes sense. Well, we pulled out description because we were processing description. So that's why we turned that into a node, because we then created description words, much like we did with the variety. It's on here. So variety, we ended up creating variety name because we were tokenizing it and we were doing stuff to find useful information. So it kind of makes sense to do that. And we can kind of see and follow the lineage of what we've done. So you think, if you cast your minds back to winery, we had things like, sorry, not winery, to variety. We had things like Cabernet Sauvignon, Shiraz, Cabernet Sauvignon. Like that, to our purposes, those are the one and the same. But because of the ordering of the words, so what we did was we tokenized the words. We've done cleaning, we've done similarity, that kind of thing. And what we're saying is we're also putting a relationship between that cleaned up word back to variety, so that we know where did that come from. We know what process we went through. We know what the origin of it is. So that's quite useful for why we might do that as well. And an example I'm pulling here for wine is, look, we've got price on here. So admittedly, we never imported price. But originally, when we were modelling this, we said, well, we put price on wine. But if it comes back to, we want to ask lots of questions about the price of the wine, we did a bit of research and we discovered that we only had something like, I think it was, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we were looking at like 200, 300 wine, different price points for wine. I think it was even less than that. And you go, well, but we've got 120,000 different wines. And that means that's 120,000 different properties on wine to hold the price. And if we're asking lots of questions about price, that means we have to look at the properties of 120,000 nodes to figure that out. But if you've only got 200 different options that property can be, and you're asking questions about it, then it makes sense to pop it out. And that's what we did with price, and that's what we did with review. So we've got another example where, as well, I think this was later on. Wine year is another good example. I mean, you kind of say, so wine year, you're only going to have about 30 different years for wine. So if you're doing queries about which year had the most wines, you either have to look at 120,000 different wine nodes to look at the property of the year, or you just go, well, let's create a node with that year. And that's significantly less lookups that you need to do. So you can speed up your queries as well like that. So yeah, so you've got questions. So you can build out many nodes first and then base your query, you can reorganize smaller later, yeah. So I say it's always about, when you're modelling, when you're doing data modelling, and this is true irrespective of what data system you're using, a lot of that is going to be driven by what questions are you looking to answer. So you're always going to do this thing of thinking, well, I'm asking questions about blah. So unsurprisingly, this is a wine data set. Many of the questions we ask are about the wine. So wine's centre of the universe. So if we look at the various data models that we've come up with, inevitably, even when we started with this one here, where we've got nowhere near as many nodes as we've got now, so we've got more of a reified model. So you can see here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we never put in region, so actually we only ever had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we've got about, I think, 12, 13 different nodes, node types, node labels. And you can see that the wine here is kind of the centre of the universe. Look at all of these different, spokes coming off of wine. And it's centre of the universe, which is not a surprise because a lot of the questions we ask are angled around wine. What is the most popular wine variety? What's the most popular year for a wine? Which countries have the most wine? All of our questions are leading by wine. So that's going to be centre of the universe. But you're going to have some questions, and based on those questions, you're going to start talking about how different entities are interacting with each other. But as you gain more knowledge, as you dig a bit further, you end up with new questions. You have more questions. You want to dig further into the original questions that you asked. And then you can step back and go, well, okay, so what do I need to do? Do I need to flex my data model again to work it? Now, again, you can still ask those questions, but the queries are probably going to be a bit slower. And again, we're in no rush. It doesn't matter if the queries are a bit slower. But a lot of the things that I'm doing, I'm kind of doing it because I know it's going to speed up the queries. So let me come back to, let's come back to the reviews. I think the reviews are a great example of this. Now, what we had, and I now know this is really, really small, so bear with me. So we've got a taster note. So this is the person who tasted the wine. And then they, tasted a particular one. So here's a taster, rates wine. So that was what we had originally. And on this rates wine, we had a property on the relationship, which is the number of points that taster gave you. And that was, seemed like a perfectly reasonable thing to put in. And if you never do queries about what score a wine got, that's fine. Once in a blue moon, you look up to find out what score a wine got. That's fine, don't worry about that. But if we think about the data and what we know about the data, we know we've got 120,000 wines, and wine is at the centre of our universe in this data model. So we know that there's going to be 120,000 relationships between wine and taster, and that's 120,000 review scores on the property of that relationship. So if we suddenly find ourselves asking loads of questions about which wines scored at least 96 and above, what was the average score reviewers gave for wines, what's the best wine to buy based on a combination of price and score, and all that stuff. We find ourselves asking lots of questions about wine, the score that wine got. And then you go, well, hang on a minute, let's look a bit further. So we've said we've got 120,000 different scores that we have. And then we looked a bit, and then we think about it logically and go, well, hang on a minute. Well, the minimum score a wine can get is 0. The maximum score a wine can get is 100. And then we have look, well, how many tasters do we actually have in our data set? And when we looked at this, we went, well, actually, we've got 19 named tasters and then one taster with no name. So this is where we didn't have a name for the taster. So you go, well, hang on a minute. So worst case scenario, we've got 20 different tasters, 101 different scores that they can give a wine. So that's going to be 20 times 101. So straight away we're looking at 2020. So 2020 different possible combinations of a reviewer to give a score to a wine. And that's significantly less than 120,000 relationships to look at. So straight away you're winning. If you're going to be asking lots of queries about what score wine got, then it's a great thing to do to speed up your queries. So the only thing you bear in mind, so there is a downside to this, and this is where you have to weigh up performance for usability, is every time you do something like this, you may make the data model less obvious, if that makes sense. So it's less intuitive to what you started off with. And sometimes that's fine, but sometimes you may go, you know what, I don't need this query to execute in, 200 milliseconds. You know what? I'm perfectly happy to wait 5-10 seconds because I'm in no rush, and for me it's more important to keep something that is more truthful to how I would, how I see this, in my head. So it's stocks and balances. You pick what's important to you. For some situations, performance is more important. So you optimise the data model for performance. For some situations, you may go, you know what, for me, I want something that's true to what I started with, and that's fine. So you pick what's the right thing for you. Again, I've gone off on a tangent. I do apologise, but I hope that was useful. It's a very interesting debate to have, and there is no right answer. It's what's right for you. Okay, so let's have a look back to this dilemma, which we're going to solve. And what I think I want to do is, I'm thinking probably, so we've answered this winery to country, so we're feeling pretty confident that a winery can be in many different regions or many different provinces. So the most sensible thing for us to do is do winery to country. So at least like that, we can ask questions about, which country has the most wineries, which winery produces the most wine, etc., etc. So that feels like the most sensible thing to do. So we're going to be changing our existing data model, which I shall... we got it here. So you can see we've got winery to province. So when we update our data model and update the data itself, we're going to chop that out and we're just going to do winery straight to country. So that's fine. This is the first time we've spent good quality time figuring out, what exactly these things are. We kind of shied away from them in the past, but now we're grasping that nettle and we're going to deal with it. The other thing to figure out is this, and I think for now we talked about this. Maybe the best thing to do is... I've accidentally added a relationship to itself. Let's get rid of that. Cool. And I think maybe the best thing for now, what we're going to do is do this. So let's... what have I done? No, we don't do that. So let's do this. So I think we'll do this. And I know it's not perfect, but this is like stage 1. So we're not going to do the queries today. I think we'll follow those up on another day. But we've talked about the principle and what we're trying to achieve. And then either we can do it together in another stream, or maybe I can do it ahead of time and then you've got the queries. So we can figure that out. There's all options are good. But I think if we do something like this to begin with, and then what we'll do is we'll do the obvious stuff. So for example, if province is the same as country, then we're just going to maybe call it no province, and if region's the same as country, we'll call it no region, and that kind of thing. So we'll do this for now, and then we'll figure out try and do some data cleanup, and maybe some of these just resolve straight away, because maybe if we keep having province and region of both California, for example, then if we discover it's the odd situation, so if it's say only, 1% of all of our wines actually have a proper region too, then we do a special rule, and then we just create a generic model for everything else. So I think that feels like the most sensible thing for us to do in this scenario. So let's do that. And then we can figure out, the various cleaning queries. And then once we've got this in, then we can do some cleaning and diagnostic stuff of what we've got. So, as you mentioned, maybe we've got some regions in our description. So maybe that's going to help us fill the gaps and that kind of thing. So I like that. I like us doing this gap filling exercise as well, so we can sort of clean up and fix some of the data. So that's cool. Right. This has been a fun session. We did meander across different paths, but it was fun meandering. There was a lot of interesting things we can explore there. So I think we'll leave it there for now. So if you've got any last questions, so ask them now, and I'll hover about. I'll keep the stream going for a couple of minutes. So if you've got any questions, get them in now. We'll answer those, and then we will wrap up. And then in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have a Bloom special. Woo! So what have we got? Would it be useful to make a relationship between wine to country as well? Great question. I'm going to answer that question with, it depends. And it really depends on what questions we're looking to answer and what do we want to do about performance. So if performance was super important and we asked loads of questions about wine to country, then yeah, it completely makes sense that we have that direct connection. I'm being a little bit lazy, and I'm trying to keep that providence of this kind of like hierarchy. And actually this might be a fun one if we get the data in, but this might be a fun one to have a look at using the new hierarchy function in Bloom. But I'm thinking here, I quite like being able to do wine to region to province to country, and we can always find out what country a wine's come from by just traversing these nodes. So we've not lost that information. It's just a little bit more query costly to find that out, but I kind of feel that's a price that's acceptable to pay, especially if we think about the relationships between these two. So the risk that you run, although it's still, we don't escape that risk, but the risk that we run wine directly to country, if you think of something like the US, and you've got California, which is a massive wine producing region, we're probably going to have a fair bit of density of wine to country. If you think about, again, France, they kick out a fair few bottles of wine as well themselves. Or Australia's a great example. So they produce a huge amount of wine. So we're going to have quite dense nodes between wine to country, whereas we're kind of splitting them out here. So if we ever kept our queries quite local, so I want to know what's the most popular wine region, I want to know what's the most popular wine to that. So that kind of helps us slightly. It doesn't get away from the problem if we want to do wine to country, but we can still traverse through those nodes to find that. So hopefully that makes sense. So we're not losing too much by having it like that, but we get a bit more clarity as to the provenance of the wines and that kind of thing. Which is why it was so painful to try and figure out what order these go in, and the fact that we've got replication. But that's okay. We're going to have great fun cleaning that data, and it's going to be very informational. That's not the word I was looking for. It'll be very informative as well. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, it'd be brilliant. So, okay. Thank you very much for joining me today. I know this was a bit longer than usual, but it was good fun. If you come up with any more questions, or either wait for 2 weeks' time when we have the next session, or send them to me, on Twitter. So you can tweet me at @LLazal. You've got the repo address. Let me just post that again. So if there's anything in particular you want me to try out, then raise an issue on there, and then we can look through those. So that's one way to capture that information. So you've got a couple of options there. So other than that, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Don't forget, for those of you who are about, we do have our second episode of the Nodes 2020 Extended tomorrow. So that's going to be great fun. We're going to be looking at some talks around finding limb prediction in chemicals. We're going to be looking at sort of business data from Brazilian companies. So do come along. So that's at 2 p.m. UTC tomorrow. I'm going to be joined by Nathan Smith. So that's going to be great fun. And I'm sorry, yes, we do have older recordings. So if you go onto youtube.com/Nia4J, if you look at Twitch, we've got a playlist called Twitch Catch Up. I think it's in there, and definitely it's in the online meetup playlist as well. So have a look at that. So let me dig out the 2 seconds. Let me find the link for that. So bear with me one moment, and I will get you the link from last week. That was a really good session. It's gonna be a really good session tomorrow. I'm really excited. We've got some super cool content. These are great talks. 1 moment, I will get you the link for that. And oh my goodness, I found it. It's all good. Okay, so here is the link from last week. Yeah, so I'm back. So but mentioned that it's stuck on chapter 12. Yeah, so I need to update some stuff. If you're stuck on chapter 12, just pop it in. Can you raise it in as a GitHub issue or something like that? Might be probably the best way, and then I can pick it up, because maybe I've done something wrong and I need to update something. So if you can pop it in as an issue, and then I can pick it up. So I think if you go to, let me go up to the top, and then like that, yeah. So I can pick it up, because I could have made a mistake there. So just pop it in. So that's what some people have done in the past. If I've done something like something doesn't load, or a query doesn't run, or it throws an error, pop it in there. I can pick it up, and if I need to make a correction, I can do that there as well. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Oh well, thank you for joining me. Hopefully some of you will be able to join me tomorrow at 2 p.m. UTC for our next episode of Nodes 2020 Extended. Otherwise, have a great day, and I will see you in a couple of weeks to continue our wine adventure, which we'll be doing in Bloom. Have a lovely